There's no sound on the Zoom.
Thank you, Dr. Fine. So we're starting this Mishnah.
Okay, better.
Thank you. On the bottom of Pei, and the Mishnah in the beginning of the Masechta was maybe get from Dinas Hayom, Fanei Nechtam, very deep into the ocean of Masechtas Gitin. And we would have thought this would have been the first Mishnah. So we don't learn according to the way we think. We figure out about the Mishnah's things. But this is the basic laws of how to write a get. Kufa shall get. The essence of a get is that it says in the document that you are hereby released to mutter to everybody that when she's married, she's also to marry anybody else. And now this get is releasing her. So the essence of the get are the words, you are hereby mutter to any man. What days? No. I might have been quoted someplace, but we didn't. This is the Mishnah that's been quoted. Rav Yehuda Omer, Amud Beis. Rav Yehuda says that there's not enough. You have to also write the following. So this is all right. Bottom line. Now we're in Amud Beis. Yes, we. So the Mishnah you looked at, we did it. You're right. Gufa shall get. The essence of a get is the words that say that you are hereby permitted to anybody. That's it. Rabbi Yehuda says that's not enough. So now it's going to be a lot of Aramaic. And the reason why they made documents in Aramaic is because everybody should understand it. But now it became the opposite because Hebrew we do understand and Aramaic much difficulty. So it's strange that the documents and also Kol Chamira and all kinds of things that are said in Aramaic, the purpose is really that it should be easier to understand. It's only that it should be understandable. Documents should be understandable, but they're not. So this is it's blocking you. So you could just put it there if you'd like it. It's just for okay, but I'd like to see you better than the screen. You know. What did who say? He said that he's going to say the following before he says anything. I didn't say what he said. I just said that he's going to talk now in Aramaic, and I just gave a little introduction that the documents in Chazal's times were written in Aramaic because no, they're saying that he's going to say and he's going to speak in Aramaic, and it's very difficult language. So I'm just explaining that the reason why they wrote it in difficult language is because it should be easy language. Because in those days that was the normal way to talk. They spoke like in English we'd speak nowadays. So the document should be understandable to the multitudes. But now over the generations, the things changed over, and people don't know Aramaic, and therefore all the contracts are very vague, and you have to be a big scholar to understand how to read the ksuba and get. But it wasn't meant like that. That happened, it seems. So here goes. Budomer, you have to write the following also. The Dain, the heavy lechiminoi, sefer tiruchin, the geras shavukin, the get peturin, the mahach, lisnasava, the whole gvad tetzavyan. And this, the Dain, this, ze, yelacha, lach, mimeni, this should be to you from me, a document of divorce. Tiruchin, like really, literally it means to gerushin, which means to drive out, which, sending away. This should be a document of divorce and a letter of letting go, any better word than that, of release, and a get piturin. Also, three different ways of saying the same thing, more or less, that it should be a document of divorce to permit you. So he uses three words. The main point he wants to say is that you have to say that this is the document that is releasing you. That's Tiruchin is Ze yeh lach mimeni sefer gerushin v'geres aziva v'shtar piturim. That is releasing you. So I don't think you need all three. They do write all three of them, but the point is that you're grusha, azuva, petura, that you're left, you're released, you're mutter, and the point is to be released. Yeah. And the Gemara is going to say that his argument on the Tanakhama didn't say that the divorce document is what's doing it, and he wants to be specific that this is the document which is permitting you. So again, and this should be to you from me a document of divorce, a letter of release, a star, a document of all the same thing. I don't know the different pronunciations, maybe different definitions. We can look at Artswell for more help. the mahach, to go, this nasaba, to marry the chol gevar, to any man, that you wish. So this is a document which is going to release you to go and marry any man that you desire. That's how Buddha says after writing the get also. That you want. Tzvi v'isri bun. Period. That's the essence of a get. Kufa shall get shichur. How about the essence of a liberation document that you give to an eved? You want to free an eved, Kanani, you have to give him a get shechur. What is the essence of that? To an eved, to a shivcha, habeat bas chorin, that you are hereby free. Talking to a woman, bas chorin, or to a man, a ben chorin, habeat la'atzmech, you are to your own, you to yourself, you own yourself. Till now, I owned you, and now you own yourself. So it told us the essence, the nusach of a get, a divorce, and also of a get shechur for liberating an eved. Either way is good. Either baschorin or la'atzmech, either way is a good way to express the shechur. So the Gemara talks about if you said the opposite languages, is it going to be good? If you use to a woman a lashon of baschorin, to a shivcha about being mutal l'chaladim, so pshita is not good. So the Gemara starts pshita. This is not a kasha. Sometimes pshita usually is a kasha. It's not a kasha. This goes without saying pshita. This is simple. If he says to his wife, you are hereby free, that's not called the way of divorcing. Rashi points out she was free while she was married also. So saying to a wife that you are hereby free is not a way of divorcing her. And the opposite, also, he tells his maidservant that you are now mutter to everybody. That's also not a way to free her. Even though Rashi points out that when she's a shifra, she's not mutter to marry a ben chor. Now she's being mutter. He didn't free her. So if he didn't free her, she's not mutter l'chaladam. So the way to express liberation is not by saying that you're mutter to marry. But the question is the following. So two things are simple, but the next one is a question. Is that a good way of divorcing a wife? By saying that you're your own, you own yourself. Is that good enough? It says in the Mishnah, it's good for a shifcha. Is it good also to divorce a wife? What's the question? Lagami kamala or the mlacha kamala? When he says that you are to your own, does it just mean that your work belongs to yourself? Till now, your earnings belong to me, and now I'm giving you yourself means I'm giving you your earnings. But he didn't release her to marriage, or maybe it means completely, and that's a way to say divorce also. That was the question that the Gemara asks. Ravina says that he has a right from our Mishnah. Tashma. It says that's a good way to liberate a servant, to say that you're your own. And if that works for an eved, it surely works for a woman. An eved that the master owns, he owns the guf of David, he owns David. It's like his animal, he owns it. So when he owns him and he tells him that you're your own, that means that he now acquires himself completely. So Kalvachomer, Isha, the Lokani Gufe, Lokolskein, the woman that he doesn't own the body of the woman. The husband doesn't own his wife. So surely when he says, surely he's giving her everything, she owns herself. And therefore it is a good way of divorcing. No, he said it many times. He doesn't own her. A husband doesn't own a wife. So that's the end of the Gemara. The question was, is it a good term of divorce to say you are to yourself? And the answer is yes. It's even good to free an eved. Sometimes he says that to an eved, not everything works for an eved, it works for a divorce also, like we said. To say bas chorin surely doesn't work because she's free before. But here that this term is meaning I'm giving you yourself. So it means we're giving you completely to yourself. And by an eved, he also didn't give him just his work. You could have told an eved that the work belongs to you, but you don't have to work for me. But no, he gives him his whole body. So too by Isha, he surely gave her everything he has in her, and therefore that's a good lashon for divorce. Nu Gemara, Amalei Vina Ravashi, Amalei La'avdo, Ein Li'esek Bach. What if you told the servant, I have nothing to do with you? Is that a good term of liberation? Ein Li'esek Bach, I have nothing to do with you. I have no business with you.
Understand what he's telling?
What?
You might not understand what he's telling him.
We don't care what he understands. We want to know if that's a good. We understand that. We understand that. So we'll tell him. The question is if that is a way of expressing liberation. I have nothing to do with you. So somebody told Ravashi the Rav Chanan from Chosno. I guess it was a different Rav Chanan. He told him a right from a following brayso. So Tashma, the Tanya. Chosno is the name of a place. It's going to say in the Bryce, it's about 10 lines, no, 3 lines. But we're going to find out that the Bryce says that is good, that this is a good term of liberation. It says in the Bryce, we had that before, that a person is not allowed to sell every Kanani to a goy. He's taking away from mitzvahs. So he goes free. They made a Kanani, so he goes free. He has to redeem him, means he has to pay to buy him back, and then he has to free him. So here it's right. He goes free, and he has to give him a get shechor in order, the owner, from Rabbi Rishon, from the Jew, not from the goy. The goy doesn't have the isser on the, so the original owner still owns the isser of the eved. He has to free him with the get shechor, and he has to buy him out. He has to buy him out from the goy. He has to buy him out and give him a get shechor. That's it. The get shechor does that. It is a way to free his mumminess without, but he has to give him a get shechor in order to completely give him freedom. Okay, that's good so far. We knew that. This also we had already. This only has to give it a get shechor now that he redeems him. He has to give him a get shechor now. It's only if originally when he sold him, he didn't give him ono, his star, which we'll see in a second what that means. But if you gave him ono, his star, even when he sold him, that's already, he already freed him. All he has to do is just to buy him out of the guy, and he's automatically free because the Jew already freed him. What does this word mean? What's ono? My ono. Okay, sometimes. Could be, I don't know. My ono, what does the Bryce mean when it says ono? The cost of that he tells him already, I'm selling you now, and if you escape, however you do it, if you escape from the guy, so I have nothing to do with you. So you see, Aga, I don't know why Rav Sheshes used that terminology, but to Rav Sheshes it was pashut to say that I have nothing to do with you is a way of freeing him. So if you gave him that originally when he sold him to the guy, he doesn't have to give him again a get shechur because he gave it to him already. Aga, you see that Rav Sheshes took it for granted that to say Ein li esek bach is a way of freeing him. So the question was, if a master tells his Eved, Ein li esek bach, is it a way of liberation? And the answer is Rav Sheshes said yes. Rav Sheshes said so. Ono is that when he sold him to the guy, he gave him a document that said that if you succeed in running away, I have nothing to do with it. It's as if he's saying, I don't know why it's such a fancy lashon. He gave him a get shechor now, but he sold him to the guy. So when he buys him back from the guy, he doesn't have to give him a get shechor already because he gave him already. He gave him the first time. Agav, when Rav Sheshes talked about giving him a get shechor originally, he didn't say Ariat ben Chorin. He said Ariat Latzmocha. So Rav Sheshes used the term of Ariat Latzmocha when he talked about a get shechor. So you see that Rav Sheshes also that's a good way to free him. The Mishnah continued about the view that says it's not enough to say Ariat Muteres L'Chaladam. He has to say the whole nusach that this is from me to you, a document of divorce that you can marry whoever you want. Aviu the Omer Evidain the heavy lechim you say for the ruchin the ger shvukin the get peturin, etc. But my kinuflik, what's the machlokes? Rabbanan says it's good enough to write Ariat Muteres L'Chaladam. Aviu says you have to have this whole nusach. What's the machlokes? The Rabbanan Savri Yadayim Shein Mochichos Having Yadayim. So the Gemara is going to explain that it isn't. The question is that it's not so evident that the document is what's divorcing her. That's what Yabid is concerned about. That when he says you are hereby mutter in the star it says in the star that it says Ariat Muteres L'Chaladam. The Rabbanan say that's good enough. Yabid is not happy with that because it doesn't say in the document that it's the document that is divorcing her. You might think, like the Gemara is going to say in a second, you might think that his words are divorcing her, and the document is just for a proof. It's not muchach from what he did. He gives her a piece of paper and he says, "You're mutter to everybody." It might be taken that his words are what's divorcing her, and the document is just a proof. And that's not true. The document is what's divorcing her. So Yehuda is makbid that it should say in the document that this is the document of divorce. And that's going to be clear that this permits you to marry. So the Gemara calls that Yadayim Shein Mochichos. Yadayim means something which is not, it's like an extension. It's something which, does Rashi help us with this? What does the word Yadayim mean? It means it's not so muchiach, it's not so evident. Let's see Rashi on these words. Beis achiza, the dog is like a handle. Heavy base yard. Right, a dorm, right? That's something that's considered an extension, a handle on something. So it's called Yadayim Shein Mochichos. It's not such an evident handle. It's not so evident. It's a handle, but it's not so evident. It's not good enough. I want to say it's good enough. The Buddha says it's not good enough. Here it goes. Yadayim Shein Mochichos having Yadayim. That not evident handle is good enough. It's good enough of a handle. And therefore, Afagav the locus of Lovadain, etc. Even though he didn't write the whole nusach that this is going to be the document, so the Bahai Gita, it's obvious that the get is what's divorcing her. That's good enough. And Abuda says it's not good enough. Abuda Savar, Yadayim Shein Mochichos Lav and Yadayim. Since it's not evident handle, so it's not considered a handle. And therefore, it's not good enough text just to say you are hereby mutter. The time of the cost of Lovadain, it's only good if he wrote that this document is going to release you. That's what he's saying. The Mucha Miltz, the Bahai Gita Kamagashla, that makes it obvious that the get is what's divorcing her. Avalo Kosav Lovadain, if he didn't write that Nusach of Vadain, that this should be the document of divorce, Amri, people might say, the Dibura Gersha, he divorced her with his words. The words are what releases her. And the contract, the document is only for a proof, not that the document affected the divorce. That's what the reader holds that. Therefore, you have to write that. It's not good enough just to say that the text of the nusach to get should say that you are permitted. He has to write that this is the document of divorce. So we'll see soon. Will be possible, except for the Rabbanan says you don't need it. The reader says you do need it. Amar Abaye. Now the Gemara is going to go on of Yehuda's nusach and tell you how to spell the get. I tried to print out the get, but I don't think that it came out. If you look in the printer, it came out. I did a couple of times, and I think it didn't listen to me. It's not. I tried to get a better one than that, but it didn't come out. Okay. It's pretty unclear to start with. Anybody could probably get online. You can get the tax for a document of a get. Okay. Perfect. It is printing. You did something over there?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. Thank you. So the word v'dain, Amar Abaye, Haiman de Kosav Gita. When someone writes a get, lo lichto v'dain with a yud. The word is v'dain.
Done. Reading right? The Mishnah says,
the Mishnah top line has it without a yud, and I said it with a yud.
Why then?
So the Gemara says write it without a yud, because with a yud you might read it v'din. The mashma v'din. If you write it with a yud, there might be mashma v'din, and Rashi says it means that it's correct. It's like a din. The din is that I have to divorce you, and that's not what he's saying. He's saying he wants to divorce even if it's not a din. So don't write it in a way that it might be misunderstood. What? Because that's not what he's saying. He's saying that this is the get, and that's what really wants to say, that this is the divorce document. So therefore, write it without the yud. Don't write v'din. Don't write. It's supposed to really be with the yud, maybe, in the way that you write Aramaic. But don't write it like that because it'll be misunderstood, or maybe Ella v'dain. Write it without a yud. Another point. Lo lichtov igeris. It says igeris shvukin. This is a letter of release. Don't write igeris with a yud, even though they usually would write it with a yud. The mashma igras. So Rashi says that the word also might mean a roof, which doesn't have anything to do with the subject over here. So therefore, write it without a yud. Ella igeris. Without a yud. I think now in Hebrew, I mean, correct in the Megillah Sester, let's say, when it says igeris, it doesn't have a yud. But the way they usually would have written it, I think it's like in Yiddish that you write tiv maleh. You write the vowels into the letters. It's not like nakudos. So they would have written it with a yud, but don't write it with a yud. That it shouldn't be misunderstood. The third thing is v'lo lichtav lemahach. He wants to say that this is being a divorce document to go, the mahach, to go to marry any man that you want. So don't write it with a yud. The mashma li mehach, because that would have been mashma from me. What does Rashi say about that? I forgot what Rashi says. To go. Rashi says the mashma li mehach li tehem is sefer hazeh ve'elef, that it might li you are to me. If he has a yud, li really it's just lemahach to go, but you might have read it li mehach, that you are going to be mine from this. That from now on you're mine, which is the opposite of what he wants to say. He says from now on you're not mine. So don't write it with a yud. So write it without a yud. Lemahach without a yud. Below lichtov lemachach, also make sure you don't write a ches, which is surely not what he wants to write. But the ches and the hey are very similar. The ches, the left leg touches the roof, and the hey does not. So make sure you don't write a ches, because the word lemachach, the mashma kichucha, that means as joke. That would be like making a joke out of this whole thing. It doesn't mean to say that. So also make sure that you don't write it like that. The next word is the tehavya, that you should can marry anybody that you want. So write it with 3 yuds, the tehavyan, 3 yuds over there. The tetzaivan, also 3 yuds, plus a yud. And each one of these words should have 3 yuds. Not very unusual. So I'm not sure what is coming to say. The mashma tehavyan, tetzavyan, it means that you, well, let's see, what would have it been mashma? She would have written it only with 2 yuds. She doesn't tell us over here. Rashi says if you only would write 2 yuds, then the havyan. So Rashi says that it would have been mashma, nashin the alma, and the tzayvan would mean it would be going on other women. It wouldn't be saying that you may. It would be, he wants to tell her that you may go, that you anybody that you wish. And if he wouldn't have the 3 yuds, only 2, then it might have been understood women the alma, women that want, women that go that should be. It wouldn't be referring to her. So when you have 3 years, then there's no question that that's what it means. Where are you reading? You're going on the Mishnah?
Yeah.
The Mishnah. It doesn't say the word Tehavyan in the Mishnah.
Oh, it doesn't? It does have to be.
It has the Sabbath with 2 years, and the more saying to write it with 3 years. It doesn't have the Tavian in the Mishnah, and Rashi brings down the Nusach, the standard Nusach of the get, and we have it. If okay, so either it's printed or it's on the way or it's on the WhatsApp. It's stopped over there. Okay. But it's the mashma Tahavian Tetzavin. Rashi would say that it would be mashma. If you write only with 2, then it might be mashma. Okay, if anybody or to copy that, and you can make copies of that. Thank you very much. Thank you. It has all the lines, too few lines. It stopped in the middle.
We have a technically challenging day today.
Okay. So in the word Tahavian, write it with 3 years, or else it would have been mashma, women that want, and women that go, that should be women that go, that want, but it wouldn't be mashma you. Okay, the next point. Right, so I don't think in Aramaic they write it with 3 years ever, probably, but probably it's just expressing how to pronounce it. It's going to be also like a k'tim maleh.
The first year is in the second letter.
That's not the point. The point is at the end of the word. You see, you got to the 3 years already. Not in the Mishnah, in the Gemara. We're in the Gemara. We're reading Gemara. The Gemara is the word. The first one.
Oh yeah. That's great. Yeah. Very.
Okay, so right, the words that the Havyan and the Tetzayvan write plus a yud, and each one should have 3 yuds. The mashma, all these the mashma means if you write it the wrong way. If you only write 2 yuds, the mashma Tehavyan, Tetzavyan, which means that they will want. So that's not what he wants to say. He wants to say that you. So therefore, write it with 3 yuds. The next point, the lorche levav de teruchen or levav de shvukin. Make a long vav, like you have in the Megillah Sesta Vaizasa, a long vav. Here, make a long vav, longer than you. Make sure that it's not a yud. The point is to emphasize: don't make it a nun, don't make it a long nun, but make it a vav, a long vav. That it should definitely be understood that it's a vav and it's not a yud. Lorche is to extend the vav of the word teruchen. That it says in the Mishnah. We have over there a sefer teruchen, and the shvukin is also a word like yiger shvukin, and the vav shvukin also should be long. If you look in the get here, where is it? Yeah, we don't have a long one. I just want to show you in the get that they can make it long. Did it make it? Did it make it? Over here, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 lines from the bottom. You have the word teruchen. What?
Because you might think.
So this only has 1 line underneath her name. This only has 1 line underneath her name.
Here it says the word teruches. Does it have the word?
That's usually in Hampton.
My hand has by the word teruches over here towards the middle of the line, 5 lines from the bottom. So it has the teruches for the long one. Maybe press it around, 5 lines from the bottom. So here it says teruchen should be that vav should be with a long vav, and also the word shvukin should be with a long vav, because if it's going to be terichen or shvikin, the mashma terichen or shvikin, if it can be mistaken for a yud, that would be that would be the wrong meaning. And Rashi says it would have meant there are women that are divorced, women that are released, but it's not talking about, it's not the right word. It has the wrong meaning if it would have been terichen and shvikin. And also one more long vav, balorche levav de kedu. Kedu means and now, and also don't make it with a regular vav because it might have been mistaken as a yud. The mash, I would have thought that no reason to make it extra long. A vav is certainly not a yud. I just would think to make sure that it's not a yud. But I see that they don't do that to make it one. But the minhag is not like that. Yeah, you have to make sure it's not a nun also. I think it's making it a little dangerous if you make it longer than a vav. What's the purpose? And it shouldn't be a nun. In the Pashtan the Gemara, I would have thought that it just means make sure that it's a vav and it's not a yud, because that's all you really want. Once it's not a yud, you're safe. Why make it extra long vav? Like it's sounds a little strange, but that seems to be the minhag. I didn't look in the poskim at all. But the point is, make sure it's not a yud. Why? Because the word terichen and shavikin would have meant women that are divorced, women that are released, not what he wants to say, that this is a divorce, the document of divorce, document of releasing. So therefore, make sure it's above. Also, another yud also is dangerous. Above the kedu. Kedu, the word kedu means now, and it's going to be in the nusach of the get. It means that now I am kedu patris yasichi like him. Here's that. Kedu. Here we have it. It's also on the same line, a little further up. It's on that's 5 lines up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5th word. You see over there, kedu. It looks a little bit like a dane, like like it's a little dangerous. That it looks like a vav. On the same line, on the same line that you were before, just a couple of words earlier. About 5 words into the line. You see over there, kedu. So also the vav is long. So make sure that it's not kedei. The mashmal kedei. The Rashi says the word kedei would have meant. I would have thought kedei means like because, right? a nun. I'm not sure why they do it. It sounds like against what the Gemara wants. The Gemara just wants to make sure it's not a yud. And they're making such a big vav that it looks like a nun. Okay, so Rashi says the word kedi might have meant for nothing. We know the word kedi means for nothing. It also means the name of a person. It also means kedei. Also might mean because in order to. All these words we don't want. So we want kedu, which means now. So make sure that it's above. So there are three vavs that have to be emphasized that they're above. Teruchin, Shevukin, and Kedu. Another thing to be careful about. I think altogether there are like 10 things that Bai is saying to be careful about in the spelling, in the writing. The low lichtov le'isna saba. So that's what we have in the Mishnah back on top. That you may go to marry anybody that you want. So what does it say over there? Le'isna saba. Third line from the top of the page. Le'isna saba, to get married. Make sure you write it with a hey. Le'isna saba. And don't write it, not with an olive. Don't write it with an olive. So the Gemara says the mashma lo yisnasva, because if you look at the word lisnasava, but it might be a little space in between the first two letters and the third, so it sounds like not to get married, and that's the opposite of what he wants to say. He wants to say yes to get married. So therefore, be safe and write a hey. Hello, hisnasava. Don't write with an olive, write with a hey.
Would you like to this state to write in Aramaic?
Yes, and maybe they changed it now. I did see on the computer when I wanted to look for a nusach habaget. There was a nusach in Hebrew. I think sometimes people also, I've seen that people write ksuba in Hebrew also, maybe. Or shtar mechilas chametz, these kind of things. And kol chamira, you don't have to say in Aramaic. But I don't know. The standard, if you do it in Hebrew, or you don't have to have all these things. There's no the tzayvan and the havyan, the mahach. You don't have all that. So if you write in Hebrew, you don't have all these things. But I don't know if they write it in Hebrew. On my side, I don't know. Okay, just to go over the things, just to count how many things Abai told us. What did he tell us? Where did they start? One was Vidain, and Ikeres, and Limahach, and also two kids. Don't write Limach, don't write Limachach, and then the three letters for the two Tavian, the Tetzavian, and then the three long vavs of Shvukin, Teruchin, and Kedu, and Isna Sava. That's 10 things. Okay, end of the Gemara. And the Babaya's 10 Dikdukim, and how to write it yet. The question: do you have to write Vidain or not? So that's not Mishnah Machlokes in the Mishnah. That the Tanakh says you don't have to. That's right. There's the Cholada. And Abuda said you have to write Vidain. It doesn't mean the word Vidain alone. The whole sentence. Do you have to write it or not? There's not a way of asking. I don't know why the Gemara says it this way. It should have said, like usual, would have said Allah Hakavida or Allah Hakavana. That's it. That Rashi says that's a Gemara's kasha. Do you have to do that? Means Yadayim Shen Machichos. Is Yadayim or not? Rabbanan says it's good enough. Without writing Vidain, Rabbi says you must have Vidain. Tashma, so the Baal want to bring a right that you don't need it. Passing like the Rabbana. They're asking Rava Bagiti. Rava made a takana. This is the right of right to get. So we're going to see from Rava's. We're not talking about Yuds. Yeah, that's not the subject. We tell everybody Vidain right without a Yud, but do you have to write Vidain at all? You have to. You pass like a Yudah, like the Rabbana. Rabbana say you don't need it. That's a Yuda's mark, but the Rabbana say you don't have to. So that was the machlokes in the Mishnah. Gufa shall get. Rabbana say. So do you pass like the Yudah or not? So Rava made a nusach of a get, and we want to see that in the nusach of his get, it didn't say all that. So the Gemara wants to derive that Rava doesn't know like Rabbi Yehuda. So now we're going to have the nusach of Rava's get. Eich planya bar planya. But so it talks about not about the first person. It's not talking about himself. And the gitin that are written in this get, it says how he says, I, whatever his name is, hereby divorce my wife with her name. So it talks about the first person. Here it's talking about in the third person. Like the Edom are signing how Ploni ben Ploni, Patar v'torich yas Plonisa inse, he released and divorced Plonis, his wife. Davis intersame in Kadam Dina, who was his wife until now. Until now was his wife, and now he's divorcing her. Miyoma Dinanu La'olam, from this day and on. That's the nusach that Rava said to write him again. How Ploni ben Ploni is divorced and released Plonis, his wife, who was his wife until now, from this day and on. But he didn't say Vidain, Adkan, end quotation. But he didn't say Vidain, Vilu Vidain Lo Kamar. He doesn't say in his nusach to write Vidain. So it's mashmi. That's not like Rabbi Yehuda. It's like the Rabbanan. But the Gemara says it's not approved. Ultamech kulu mikamar. According to you, you think this is the whole nusach of Rava. Everything else it says in the Mishnah, he also didn't write. He didn't write the It didn't say the nusach that it says. So it's not a right just because he quoted these few lines that this is all that he wrote. Elabinon. You do have to write the rest of the things that it says. You have to write the name. You have to write the name of the city. You have to write the area to tell us. So don't be right from Rava's nusach. He's just telling you have to write this also. So it's not a proof that you don't need the dain. It could be you do need it. So the Gemara rejects the proof that Rava says you don't need it. Rava didn't mean to say you don't need it, and therefore the Gemara didn't prove you do need it. But it seems that it's at least a question, and the Gemara seems that it's our side, like Rabbi Yehuda, that Yadam Shem Mechichos is not Yadam. You do have to write the dain, and the get that we have is written the dain. It does say the dain. If that's good, he continued. Once we mentioned Rava's nusach, he said he ended off from this day and on, from this day and ever. What does he mean? What does he have to write? She divorced from this day and ever. What do you think?
There's no back.
What does that have to do?
It can't backfire at some later date.
What does it have to do? What does it have to do with from this day and on? If it's a get, it's a get. If it's not a get, it's not a get. He could have left out these words. He said that you're released. If there was a condition, then they still give. It's not a contradiction to a condition. You divorce from this day on if the condition is fulfilled. It doesn't. It's not a reason why this is not coming like a condition. There could be conditions. It doesn't say it's unconditional. It says this from this day on. What do you have to write that for? So the Gemara says you'll probably agree to what the Gemara says. The words that means from this day. La Rabbi Yossi says, even if you didn't write from this day, you don't write. Yom is like not saying that you divorce from now, from this day. Rabbi Yossi says, even if you didn't write from this day, let's say put a condition in. So when does the get take effect? From the condition is fulfilled, or from now? On the condition to fulfill the condition, she'll do the condition tomorrow, but she's divorced from today. So we paskin, or Machlokes at least, you hold like Rabbi Yossi and Rabbi Yossi says, if you put a date, the date alone, what do you put a date for? If it's only going to take effect from the time that she fulfills the condition, so then it's not from today. You don't have the date. Rabbi Yossi says the fact you wrote a date, that shows that it means Mayachshav. Rabbanan say it's not enough of a proof. You have to write Mayachshav. So therefore, Rabbi used to write Miyom Madain because he doesn't hold like Rabbi Yossi. He wanted to hold, at least Takatchila, to write Beferish that Mayachshav. Happy? Or a Tanai or Mishloshim Yom, if he says you're divorced, but I'll come back within 30 days, so he has to write Me'achshav. Me'achshav in Lo Basi. Or else we're not going to rely on the date. Rabbi Yossi holds you could rely on the date. The fact that it has a date means Me'achshav. But Rabbanan don't like that. So write Yom Adain. The last one on the page, Ula Olam, that's quotations. It says you write the get is from this day and on forever. Why do you write that for? Top of the page. Now, Fuke with the boy Minei Rochem Rav Nachman, the Omar Hayom Iyat Ishti or the Mocharat Ishti. He had a machlokes, a couple of pages, an issue a couple of days ago. Is it possible to divorce for one day? That he says, today you're released, but after the day's over, you're automatically my wife. Of course, if you want to get married again, they can get married again. The question is if the divorce continues. He says, I only to be a divorce for one day. So that was a question. And the Gemara over there said at the end, Mistavra, given the Pascha, once they're divorced, it stays divorced. So there's no such thing as making a divorce for one day. So Rava, because he wanted to make sure that no one's going to think that there's such a thing as a temporary divorce, so he made that in every get, you should always write that it's forever. No, that doesn't mean you can't marry. That this divorces you forever. But you want to get married again, they had a new marriage. The point you could marry her again. But the point is that doesn't absolve the get, doesn't expire. And the get doesn't expire, and therefore they're automatically married again. So Rashi says, Rashi says different than I said, not different, but it's stronger, that even though the halacha would be, if someone would write that I'm divorcing you for one day, the halacha would be that she's divorced permanently. Even if he wrote, I'm divorcing you for one day, so then Rashi says over there that the divorce works for one day, and once they're divorced, it doesn't go back again. So even if he would have written that I'm divorcing you for one day, the halacha would be that she's permanently divorced. But Rabbi didn't like that. It should say that even. So he made a takana. They should always write that it's a forever get. It's a get that it's a divorce that doesn't expire. Today you're not my wife. Today you're not. Like you have Shah this guy, yeah? You are not my wife. Tomorrow you're my wife. Automatically. Means the divorce is only a one-day divorce. That's what he wanted to do. He wanted to do that. The man wanted to do that. And the Gemara said before, the Gemara question, is it a get, is it not a get, is it a temporary get? And the Gemara comes out as a permanent get. Even though he only wanted to do it for one day, the divorce works for one day, right? And if she doesn't want, she doesn't want. So he couldn't marry. No, that probably would have. I didn't think about it, but that would not have worked even if a temporary get also. Even if it would have worked the way he wanted it, also he couldn't stay married to her because she's divorced. She was divorced for one day. So that's a nice point I didn't think of. But that's not. But here the Gemara is saying that it's a permanent divorce, and whoever wanted to make sure that nobody makes a mistake about it, so he wrote in the all gitin that it's permanent get. There's no such thing as a temporary get. Okay, good. Shall get shikha. On to the Mishnah. The Mishnah said that is the text to write for a liberation document for an eved or to a shifcha. Either one of these is a good way of liberating. You are hereby free. You are hereby your own. Asking of you the so Gemara brings it. That's everything. That's the whole shas. We went through half the shas already. It always does that, right? It brings down. Okay. Asking of you the b'shtas vinid av. Now talk about a different case. He wants to say the nusach how you write a document of sale of an eved. You want to sell an eved. You're not freeing him. The Mishnah want freeing. The Mishnah want divorce and liberating an eved. And the Gemara talking about selling an eved. What are you supposed to write when you want to sell an eved to somebody else? So he writes the following. This is Rav Yehuda's way of writing a shtar mechira, a document of sale about an eved. Abda Danan, this slave, Mutzdak, La'abdu, as Rashi say, he is I don't know how to translate it. He is eved, means that he is legally an eved. Is that where are you holding?
No.
This slave. What's that? He's legally a slave. I don't know how you pronounce it exactly. And the next word, I don't think it means la'avdo or la'avdu, I'm not sure. A slave. He's upater va'ater min charure or min alule. And he is far, Rashi is parush and muflad from any kind of freedom. He's not, both of them. A patir is like patur or whatever. He's patur for, but Rashi says parush. I don't know the translation of it. I'm just saying Rashi. You see Rashi on the fourth line. Parush and muflad mikol cherus. He is Rashi brings the word the patur like nifta mirabah. Somebody leaves. That's called he was nifta. Somebody died. Nifta mirabah. Somebody parts from his rebbe. Probably comes from the word part. But he is separated from any kind of freedom. It means he's not a kitzur. He's not free. He wants to sell a slave. He is definitely a slave, and he's not free in any way. Rashi says the word atir. Rashi says that it means muflad, also separated, far. Shtar chaluka. He's far from being free. He's not freeing him, he's selling him. And he said, he wants to declare in the sale of document of sale that he is a slave. You can't sell a free man. So he has to declare that this is a full legally slave. Why not? Why? You can't sell a slave to a goy, but you can sell him to a Jew. Yes, the chusla is right. So what does alule mean? Rashi doesn't say what alule means. What does alule mean? Rashi doesn't tell us. I don't know. Rashi doesn't even translate it. Maybe Rashi didn't have it in the Gemara. He says that he's free from any freedom or alule. Alule maybe sounds like an alila, like what is the alilo serve? That's Hebrew. I don't think that's going to be in Aramaic. It might mean like any kind of a alila, that there's no rumors about him, that he's free, but I don't know. Rashi doesn't say. We could look at Askro, but I didn't. Ruei Malka, so also there's no government appeals about him. That which are not maybe that word appeal. Rashi says that he's not in any way convicted to the government. That you can't. The king and the queen. He's not in any way bound to the convicted by the king or queen that he'd be a convict, and he wouldn't sell a gever that's chayv. If he's chayv misa, he's going to be executed. What kind of slave is that? So he has to declare that there's no government officials looking for him. The Rosham the Inish lo is Alohi. Rashi says that means that he doesn't have any seal of slavery upon him. He's not anybody else's slave. I'm not selling somebody else's slave. He's not somebody else's slave. Umanuka mikol mumen shchin the nafik ad titzar, and he's clean from any blemish or boils that will, how do you say, come out, that will appear. Ad titzar. So Rashi says titzar is not a regular word. It's a Persian word that means 2 years. That I have a guarantee that for 2 years, no blemish shall appear. The point seems to be that these are blemishes that are already in the cooking, whatever it means, how you say that. There's read that that it's going to be that this blemish has been there for 2 years. It's a kind of blemish. Yes, but yes, that there's no defect from the company. Means if anything happened later on, it happened later on. But for 2 years, if any kind of blemishes comes out that show that he had pre-existing conditions. But I'm not sure. The next one says chadas v'atik, new or old. Rashi doesn't translate them. So what does it mean, new or old? Maybe he's giving a guarantee for 2 years, even if it's new. I didn't get that impression. I thought that it means that it's a pre-existing existence. But the words chadas v'atik means new and old. So I don't know. Adkan, the nusach of a deed of sale of a slave. And the Gemara Agav. What? He talked about a nusach of a get and the nusach of a shtashik. Was a nusach of a deed of. Oh, no, that's okay. Shikha goes together, but you can ask that it's not Shikha Vadim either. It's a sale. It belongs above Basra because he's selling a more for a seven. Maybe it belongs over there. I don't know, but it threw it in over here. So the Gemara now talks about this is already parentheses. The rest of the Gemara now 3 lines. Maya Susi, what's the remedy for what? For this kind of shchin? So I don't know. It says he has a guarantee for 2 years, shouldn't have any boils. No. If somebody gets this kind of a shchin, that was a I don't know. It takes 2 years for it to come out. I don't really know. But what is the remedy? So it tells you a whole remedy how to get rid of this shchin. Amra Abaya, ginger. Is that true? Imbua sounds like ginger. Rashi says zangvil. Ginger. Zangvil is ginger, right? Be martecha. Rashi says, I don't know. Somebody says something about silver. Rashi gives you a French word over here, which I don't have my sperm with me. It's on the other side of it. Okay. And what's the next one? Kavrisa is sulfur, which would be gofris. Gofris is kavrisa. The chamra is wine vinegar. The word chamra is wine. Chala is vinegar, wine vinegar. Or mishcha de zesa and olive oil. Then natpik chivra. Rashi doesn't translate that either. Chivra means white. White, natpik. Rashi doesn't translate. So take all these things, and apply it with a feather of a goose. An applicator. Okay, that was parentheses to say the refuah for this machla.
The buzz is a duck, no?
Okay. Next Mishnah?
Yeah.
What we have about this Mishnah was all about the nusach of the get. That was the main subject. And that probably is one of the most important sugyas about the halacha l'maisa, but the rest of the sugyas we don't have too much. And conditions. Maybe people make conditions in the get also, but maybe. But this is like the most relevant sugya, probably, in Ilchas Gitin. Maybe,
That's
maybe.
even learning, even more important.
No Mishnah. Most of the most relevant, I would say. Okay, next Mishnah. Shlosh Gitin Psulim, the Mishnahs of Vlad Kasha. There are 3 Gitin that the Mishnah is going to list now that are Puzzle Gitin. And they shouldn't get married, the puzzle. But if she got married, the child that's born is not going to be a mamzer. Means, right, she remarried, but this get, is she considered if the get is puzzle mamish, then the kid's born from the second marriage is going to be a mamzer because she's a married woman, had relations with somebody. So so it's only puzzle with Rabbanan, and they're not going to make it that it's puzzle with the Eved, that she's considered still married, and the second marriage was not a legal marriage. She was a married woman to the first. So if she gets married, the child is kosher. Usually, there's a step missing over here. You can talk about if she's allowed to marry, and if she married, does she have to get divorced? And if she had a child, is the kid a mamzer? So here, it skipped the middle step. It says that she shouldn't get married, but the child is kosher. It didn't tell us the middle step. And if she got married, should she get divorced? Maybe even over there, but the Eved will stay on. That's going to be an issue in the Gemara. The Mishnah leaves it out. So the following 3 gittin should not be used. But if she did and she got married, she remarried, and the child was born, the child's not a mamzer. Because the rice is kosher, and the Rabbanan didn't make it so possible. Sometimes the Rabbanan can make it possible also. The Rabbanan can say sometimes, like a mayor is very makbid, kol ha'mashana with be'eshet chachamim be'gittin of blood mamzer. Mayor, we're going to see soon that we have some cases already that mayor holds even under the Rabbanan. Sometimes they're going to invalidate the get, and the kid will be a mamzer. But here it says a blood kosher. What's the first case? We had this before. That the husband wrote the get with his own manuscript. He wrote it by hand, his own manuscript. Even though there are no edim, the fact that he wrote it, that's considered also like a kind of edus, that he wrote it. The husband wrote the get with his own handscript. The second one is Yeshel Avedim Ben Bozman, that it has edim, that's not the problem, but it doesn't have a date. That's where we learned that you have to have a date in the get. And the Gemara talked about why. The Gemara said 2 reasons. One is because it was payros, one is because Basachoso, if she'll be Mizana, his wife will be Mizana, but he still doesn't want to kill her. So he'll give a get without a date, and she'll be able to say that she was divorced before she was Mizana. So that's why Chazal want he should put a date. If they didn't put a date, so it says it's possible. But if she remarried without that, so the kid's not a mamzer. And the third one, Yesh Bozman Vein Boal Eidachad, that there's one aid. It wasn't written with his own handwriting, and then only one aid instead of 2 aidim. I'm not sure why each time the Mishnah says Yesh Lavedim, Yesh Bozman, it means one case is that it's Ksav Yado with no aidim, one is there's no Zman, and one is that it's only an aid echad. So all these, Mishnah Chas is over again, unusual. The Mishnah of Vlad Kasha, it repeats it again, that these are the 3 kitten that are hustle, but if she got married, then the child born is going to be kasha, not going to be a mamzer. Rabbi Lezer argues, and he's more makel about something, that one of these is going to be kosher. Rabbi Lezer Omer, maybe even 2. Even if there are no edim, he just gave it in front of edim, it's kosher. Right, edim asira, not edim chasima. Maybe he didn't write no. If he ordered himself, then the Tanakam also said that if he ordered himself, that it's going to be that's possible, right? He's arguing that. You're right. That case, Tanakama says it's possible, but Lezer says that as long as the Edim Asira, it's kosher. And also the third case, that there were only an Eid Echad. But Lezer says you don't need any Edim if they had Edim Asira. Even if there are no Edim at all, that signed it, not the Ksav Yad, and not an Eid Echad, but he gave it in front of Edim, kosher. Rashi even says L'chatchila. The first wide line, Rashi says kosher. No Eidei Chasima. No, they didn't sign. They didn't sign. They didn't sign. No Eidei Chasima to say the Masima. Rashi in the first wide line says that it's kosher l'chatchila. Where's Rashi? Here. Kosher v'nasei l'chatchila. So Rabbi Lezer is arguing on the Mishnah. He says he's more lenient than he says Eidei Masira Kasi. The government of Chasim Mishabadim. What's government of Chasim Mishabadim means? Mean that she could use this get to get a ksuba. Well, she doesn't say anything on the Mishnah. Shein Edim Chosman ala get el of Tikkun Olam. It's only a minhag of Tikkun Olam. Someplace Rashi says it's only a minhag. That's what the people do, but not a kind of mamish. Because Rashi has said that according to Abulaz, even the Chatchila she doesn't need Eidei Chasima. So Rashi says even though it says Tikkun Olam, that's in the whole list of Shalech over there where it says Tikkun Olam. So you might say Tikkun Olam means she should get Eidei Chasima. Rashi says over there that it's only the custom. The custom is that people used to get Eidei Chasima for safekeeping. That later on they're going to have to verify the get, and you have to get the Eidei Masira, and they're not around. If you don't have anything signed, so then you don't know. It's hard to find the verification of the get. You have to find Eidei Masira. So therefore, it is a good thing that they should get Eidei Chasima. That's a way to verify the get. But you don't have to. You don't have to, and the get is kosher. Rashi even says l'chatchila she can get married with it, but there's a minhag to get Eidei Chasima in order that she'll be able to verify the get if need be. If the husband's going to come and say they didn't write it, whatever, he didn't give it, so you have to have Eidei Masira. They're not going to be around. You have Eidei Chasima, that's good enough. You can't say that it was forged. Okay, so the Mishnah said there are three such gitin that are possible, but the kid is kosher. There was a couple of kashas that you find more than these three. The Suleka is that only three cases. I'll find you some more. But you can get Yashan. Get Yash done. Right, old get. What's the old get? So we said that they had relations. They had relations after writing it. And over there, and the chash that they had relations, and therefore there might be that the child would be born or conceived, and then later on they'll see the date of the get, which is before the conception of the child, and they'll say that he was born after marriage. So it still says don't use it. So the Gemara is saying, so it's also should have been a list over here that you shouldn't use it, and the kid is going to be kosher. So why is it not an Mishnah? The Gemara says no, but hasam lo teitze. So we talked about this point. What if it leaves out in the middle of the Mishnah? It leaves out what if she got married? Do we tell her to get divorced for the second husband? It skipped. It talked about don't use it. It's possible, but the kid is kosher. But it didn't talk about the middle step. So here the Gemara is opening up the window of the middle step. So here it says over there, but I get Yashan. Once she got married, she shouldn't use it. But if she got married, she doesn't have to get divorced. But over here, she has to get divorced. But if she didn't, then they had a child, so then the child's not a mamzer. But we will say to get divorced. She doesn't have to get divorced from her husband. Over there, I get Yashan. She used it. She shouldn't have used it, but she got married. So lo teitze, she doesn't have to get divorced from the second husband. But over here, she does have to get divorced from the second husband. Just if she didn't, the kid's not going to be a mamzer. But it doesn't belong in our Mishnah, because our Mishnah are cases where she does have to get divorced, and get Yashan is not so chomer. Get Yashan, we're not going to tell her to get divorced. We just tell her, l'chatchila, don't get married with it, get another get. But if she didn't listen and she got married, we're not going to tell her to get divorced. So it doesn't belong in our Mishnah. But the Gemara says not so simple. Our Mishnah there's machlokes in Gemara coming up tomorrow. If in our Mishnah she's supposed to get divorced or not. That would be good according to the Mandam. It says in our Mishnah, the Gemara that explains our Mishnah that she has to get divorced if she got married. But if in our Mishnah also she doesn't have to get divorced, just like she shouldn't get married. So it's the same as the get Yashan. So get Yashan should be in our Mishnah. The answer is over there it's even more lenient. Not only does she not have to get divorced, she's even allowed to get married if she got divorced. It means over there it just says get Yashan Osrin. It's still Osrin. They had a machlokas over there, two Kedamis. So over there, the husband shouldn't use it. But if he did divorce her, then she can even get married l'chatchila. It's even more lenient. Not only lo teitze, but even tinasi l'chatchila. Not that it's a kosher get l'chatchila. L'chatchila we say don't give such a get. But if the husband gave the get, she's allowed to get married again. That's even more lenient than our Mishnah. That was kasha number one, and teretz. That's good. We go to the next kasha. Next kasha. We could get kereach. We had a Mishnah before, previous parak about a get kereach, which meant that there's a get makusha, a kind of a fancy get that they make folds and they sew it up and they write the. It has to have at least three folds, three signatures. If it has, we don't want to get kereach, that this get makusha, if it has more folds than signatures, it's possible. You have to fill in every fold. It has to have a signature. And if it didn't, so it's possible. That's called a bold get, that you have more folds than signatures. Over there it says there's a leniency allowed to fill it up with people that are not so kosher, relatives, and maybe even more possible. Anyway, over there it says that a get kereach, if more thinks that the kid's not a mamzer. The Mishnah says it is a mamzer. The Mishnah before said, "Kol hadracha me'eluba." that means she's because a mamzer if she get married with such a thing. But the Gemara starts off, oh, that's what the Gemara says. Oh, Hasam Avlad Mamzer, Avlad Kasha. That's very different. Our Mishnah is much worse. To get Yashin was much better. To get Kereach is much worse. Over there with the if she got married and she had a child, the kid is a mamzer. They made it subsoldier abonan, but they made it even with the Evid that the kid is a mamzer. Avlad Kasha.
What's the sound?
The sound is off.
Yeah, thank you. Okay. So if you hold that in our Mishnah, she also has to get divorced if she got married, so it should be the same list as a get kereach. The Gemara answers, the Makusha lo kamari. You must say that our Mishnah is not talking about this fancy get. It's only talking about a regular gitin. A get Makusha is a fancy case. It's not Shlosha gitin. Psulin is talking about Shlosha gitin pshutin, the regular gitin. That's not talking about the fancy gitin. One more kasha. Va'ika Shlo Malchus. Shlo Malchus said before a couple of pages ago that you have to write the dating system of the place that you live, the place where the get is given. In each country goes according to the reign of the king of that kingdom. You have to do that. And if you didn't, so also the Gemara thinks if it's in our Mishnah that it's going to be puzzle and she shouldn't get married and the kid's not going to be a mamzer. So again, the Gemara tries what's the difference? Hasam Teitze, Achalo Teitze, because over there, even with the Evet, she has to get divorced if she married with such a get. Here she doesn't have to. But the Gemara said a second ago that that's a machlokis. Anichel mandam machalo teitze el mandam teitze ma'iklamim. Maybe in our Mishnah also she has to get divorced. So then it should have been. And the Gemara goes into the case of the mamzer. We could read the parentheses. Hasam avlad mamzer och avlad kasher. The case of the Shlom Malchus over there, like it says, called Rochem Eluba. The Mishnah says over there that the kid's going to be a mamzer also. And here the kid's not a mamzer. But that's a machlokis again. And this the Gemara didn't say before. Taisus over there points out that the Mishnah says "Kol Rochem Eluba" or by get kereach. Which one is it? By this is by the Shlom. No, by the Shlom Malchus. The Gemara says beferish. That's by Ben Rabbanan. By get kereach, the Mishnah didn't. That Taisus pointed out over there that our Gemara says that it's only contra Meir that I get kereach. That we didn't. When we learned the Gemara, we didn't see that. But after I saw this Gemara, I looked back and Taisus points it out over there that get kereach that it says that the Vad Mams is only contra Meir. Bottom Taisus of the. Where's the get kereach? Okay, you have to look it up. Okay, and one second, please. Okay, so if you go according to Rabbana, that say over there also it's not a mamzer, so it should be an Mishnah. Welcome, look at the Rav Meir. Vasam avlad mamzer, bacha avlad kasher. That you can't reconcile our Mishnah with the Rabbana. You have to say it goes according to Rav Meir. The reason why it's not an Mishnah is because over there it's a mamzer, here it's not. So, but it gets to what happened. The Mishnah says that there are 3 cases that the get is possible. Machlokis and Amarom coming up tomorrow if she has to get divorced if she married with this get. And surely not a mamzer. The Gemara had other kashas that why are other places not case of get yashan, get kereach, shlom malchus. How come they're not in our Mishnah? And the Gemara said because it's not going to exactly fit either as far as teitze or as far as lad mamzer. So you have to trim it in order. Everyone has a lot of patience over there, out there in the Zoom world. Okay. It says 2 times in the Mishnah. It says that these are three gitin and no three. Why does it say 2 times? Why does it say 1 time? Why does it say in the ratio 3 and the Sefer says 3? It just should have said that this get is. You said say the 3. Well, don't say the number 3. The answer is the one we spoke about, the Yasha and the Kereya, the Shlom Malchus. We wanted to say that they don't fit into our Mishnah. That's the reason why it said after 3. The Sefer Lamutei Hadatanya, I maybe get Memdinas Hayam from the son of Allah, I'm funny enough to funny enough down. Yossi Bavlad Mamza Divra of Meir, Chachamim Main of Vlad Mamza. Achlokas we had in the beginning a long time ago, someone gave a get that he's supposed to say funny enough, and he did not. It's not going to, and the reason why they made it the kind of Rabbanon because they became the Shema, or because what was the other reason over there? Because so over there, if they didn't do funny enough, is it a kid of mamzer or not? Machlokas. Rav Meir says kids of mamzer, Chachamim say not. So Rashi says that our Gemara, our Mishnah says 3 in order to say there are only 3, which would mean that Rav Meir would hold that as a mamzer. So it wants to reinforce the brisa that not like our Mishnah, it doesn't belong in our Mishnah. Only 3 cases the kid's not a mamzer. Means it comes out of Chidushim that even though Rav Meir says every time you change what the Chachamim say, it's a mamzer, but our Mishnah says there are 3 that not a mamzer, even according to Rav Meir. So this Mishnah wanted to say there are only 3, but other cases will be a mamzer. The Chum over there say that it's not a mamzer. Okay, said Yasa, Yitlan men of Yasa, Yitlan Allah b'fnei Shnayim, V'yom b'fnei Nefta, and do it again. Take it, the shviach, take it back, and give it again the second time, and say the second time. Okay, yes, everybody. Thank you. Sorry for the overtime. Probably. I'm not sure. It happened a few times, and I'm not sure.